That is still too long. We need to move quicker. I see the flights out there every morning practicing the road guard procedure, so I don't understand why we're so confused. But we still need to work on this. 10 minutes is unacceptable. That's way too long. You will get into some serious problems in field training. So just keep that in mind. Sit at ease. So first today, I will be briefing you. First off, I'm Cadet Macalana, Cadet Wing Commander. I'm going to be briefing today. We're going to do a short review of the GMC form that you did, is that last week? Before. When you did the GMC form, you talked about topics that were concerning to you, things that you thought were going well in the detachment, and things that you thought needed some improvement. So I'm here to discuss those topics that you brought up. So we're going to talk about the topics, and then on top of that, I'm going to get into some customs and courtesies review. I know one of the big topics in the GMC form was the fact that you're still a little uneasy about some of the procedures when it comes to greeting, saluting. So we'll go into some details and some scenarios over that. So first topic that you talked about in the GMC form, one of the big ones was physical training. The concerns you brought up were that, number one, you wanted to see more variety in your exercises, calisthenics, that's what I got from the list anyway. Number two, more practice PFAs. So the solutions to that, or at least our response to that. The reason the workouts don't vary too much, at least with we're always doing running, always doing push-ups, always doing sit-ups. This happens every semester. GMC always asks this. The reason it's so repetitive is because you're getting ready for your PFA, which at this point is happening tomorrow. After the official PFA is over with, the workouts will change. We're going to be doing more sports days. We're going to be doing more fun activities, more enjoyable things. But until the PFA occurs, we stick to strict workouts, getting you ready for the PFA. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
For the practice PFAs, honestly, it's a little late for that response. Your PFA is tomorrow. In the future, though, practice PFAs are something you should be doing on your own. We try to steer away from doing practice PFAs throughout the semester because they're actually kind of a waste of a workout. The PFA doesn't really challenge you in terms of getting a good workout. It just helps you see where you're at. So it's more on your end, at home personally, to do those checks. How fast can you run a mile and a half? How many push-ups and sit-ups can you do in a minute? Because when we do it at PT, that's actually taking away from your workout. So just note that for the future. I know your PFA is tomorrow, just a little late on that. Also, the second point here, though, when we are over with the PFA, and I said we will change workouts, if you have a recommendation for something you'd like us to do, bring it up through the chain of command. Talk to your flight commander. Your flight commander can talk to Cadet Carter on coming up with new workouts or something that you'd like to see. Like I said, the big key, though, is the PFA. Once that's over with, it'll get a little more enjoyable, I promise you. So the next topic of concern, emails. Those concerns were, number one, too many emails are being sent out. I think the verbiage used was spam mail. I don't know if that's what the general consensus was. And also signature block formats. So first, we're going to talk about emails. I don't know what to tell you on this one. If you get a lot of emails, that's just how this game works. You're going into the military. Captain Spots, Captain Schilling, I'm sure could testify to the fact that you receive a lot of emails in the military. I myself receive a lot of emails. Somebody brought it up in the POC meeting that UH sends more emails to me than I get from anywhere else. I think everybody here, right? You get a lot of useless emails from UH. So just get used to emails. You just got to be able to go through and say, okay, UH sent me something stupid, whatever, delete it. I don't need to know that. You just got to sort through email, guys, okay? I know you guys were talking about possibly doing the op board comes out on Sunday, announcements come out on Tuesdays. But honestly, if we did that, we'd actually be hindering the information you get. We try to send out information as soon as we can to you. If we find out about an event that's coming up, it comes out that day or as soon as possible. If we wait until Tuesday to send out announcements, that's however many days of delay that you guys get in the information, and we want to make sure you get all of it when you can. Does that make sense? So on that one, I'm just going to have to tell you, you're going to have to suck it up a little on that one. Just edit, go through your emails, and delete. That's what I do personally. The second issue was the signature blocks. There's been some confusion. I've seen this personally, some emails that go out to the Corps. People are still confused on the format. So you will always start your email with the greeting of the day. The difference you can pick. If you're talking to a POC cadet or if you're emailing Captain Spots or Captain Schilling or one of our commissioned officer, you'll either address them by sir or ma'am, or you can address them by name. So you could say, good morning, Captain Spots, good morning, Captain Schilling. You could say, good morning, sir, good morning, ma'am. But you will start with the greeting of the day. And of course, whatever you had to say in your block. Afterwards, one space down, it's very respectfully, comma, Cadet, your name. In this case, Cadet Johns. Immediately after that, again, one space away, you will put your name in all caps, full name, so Mark B. Johns, all caps, comma, one space, your rank, comma, one space, AFROTC. So that whole first line is in caps. The whole first line should be in caps. And like I said, another missed thing too is the C, the second C in Cadet 4th class or Cadet 3rd class. Some cadets, for some reason, do a lowercase c on the second one. Do not. Both C's are capitalized, okay? The second line, we only do 2 lines. So if you see previous emails or you talk to cadets that tell you it's 3 lines, that's how it was in the past. But we decided on active duty, it's only 2 lines. We're going to follow that. So there is no 175th Cadet Wing. If you've ever seen that on the 3rd line, do not do that. Only 2 lines. The second line is going to state your position in the wing. So if you see for POC, for example, mine would say Cadet Wing Commander. For you, if you don't have a wing level position or you're not a POC, you're going to put what flight you're in. So in this case, Charlie Flight. Although I don't think you have a Johns in Charlie Flight. But anyway, so the second line is not in all caps. I've seen cadets do that as well. That is just written as normal, capital C, capital F. Any questions on that, on email format? This is what we should see every time an email goes out. Next issue, POC involvement. I think the 3 things brought up, you said use of resources. So I think the question that came up was using guidons and road guard gear during like drill practice. That was one of the examples that was given. What I'm going to stress to you is initiative. You can ask. If you want to use something, ask us. Ask your flight commander. We like to hear you want to do things, okay? The worst that we'll tell you is no. That's the worst that's going to happen. Out of the 100 times you may ask, you may think, oh, they're going to think this is stupid. Ask. One of those times you'll be surprised. You might say yes, and you're like, wow, I'm surprised they said yes to that. So we want to see you take that initiative, though, okay? So anything that you want to do, let us know. Number 2. GMC bearing. They're told you'd like to see the POC help you with your bearing. I don't know how exactly you wanted me to interpret that, but if you're looking around in formation, you have bad bearing, we're going to tell you. I don't know what guidance you want. Do you want us to tell you how to look forward? But does anybody have any specific questions about bearing? So from now on, if you have bad bearing, we're just going to tell you. You shouldn't be looking around. You should be looking straight ahead, eyes caged. There shouldn't be an issue with this. If you have any questions, ask your flight commander. Number 3, POC standardization. This is actually a very crucial topic. In the past, there have been issues where POC do give wrong information to cadets. It does happen. I'm not going to say we're perfect because we are nowhere near perfect. However, understand that each year POC go to a different field training. So our 300s learned different things at their field training than what the 400s learned when we went. Every year they change. And even within field training itself, some of the 300s may have different ideas of what you're supposed to do in certain situations because there's different training officers there from different detachments around the country. And they all have what are called det-isms. That's where one of the det-isms at field training was, where are you supposed to look when you're at the position of attention? Where are your eyes supposed to be? At the horizon. See, the det-ism that when I went to field training, there were some cadets and some of the FTOs, the field training officers, said it's 10 degrees above the horizon. That's incorrect. That is what we call a det-ism. At their dets, that's what they do, but that is not correct. So if you ever hear something like that, don't be afraid to ask and say, where are you getting that from, sir, ma'am? Find out, because that may be a det-ism. So the big thing is always be flexible. Be prepared to come across things like that, especially at field training. And so that's what you're going to see in the POC. We have differences in some of the things, and that on our part is about coordinating and making sure we are on the same page. And I can tell you from this point, the POC are coordinating. We're making sure that what we're telling you is correct and that we're all saying the same thing. If in the future something comes up that you get told 2 different things from 2 different POC, either bring it up to your flight commander or use the IG comment box that's in the lounge. We want to know if we have issues like that, okay? So if you come across any differences amongst PFC, let us know. Customs and courtesies.
All right, real quick on that note too, if you do get two inconsistent remarks, one from a different POC and one from your flight commander, don't stand there and quibble with the other POC. Just say, yes sir, yes ma'am, and then go talk to your flight commander or drop it in the comment box. Don't stand there and argue with them. You're not going to get anywhere, and then we're going to counsel you for quibbling. Understood?
Yes, sir. All right. So customs and courtesies, this is a big one. The big thing was you were confused in different scenarios. You listed off a few examples, and I understand this is an issue every year. Cadets are very confused. This is a confusing topic because there's a lot of variance that you can see when it comes to greeting. There is guidance for greeting. In the drill and ceremonies manual, it does give, for saluting, it gives you basic ideas of when and when not to salute. But I'm going to tell you today that depending on the officer that you're greeting or the officer that you're going to see, they will have differing opinions on how much they want to see from you. Example being, if you're on the deck at the detachment, if I walk by Captain Spots, technically every time I pass him, I should be greeting him, right? If I'm approaching an officer, I should, morning sir, morning sir. However, Captain Spots may not want you to greet him every 2 minutes that you pass him. But it's my job to understand that if he doesn't want me to greet him every time, he may tell me that. But now if I go past, say, Captain Schilling, but she doesn't want me to greet only once, if she wants me to greet more than once, you get what I'm saying? Understand who you're dealing with. This is about understanding your people, the people that you're around. If all else fails and you're not sure, what should you do? You greet every time. When I was a flight commander, I told my flight, I said, I don't care if they tell you don't greet them anymore, greet them every time. Because can they get upset at you for being courteous? But can they get upset at you for not being courteous and not showing respect? So you pick which one you'd rather be. The one that's, hey, don't greet me anymore, or hey, why aren't you greeting me? Which one's more important? Just keep that in mind. So, while we're on the topic of greeting, here's just a few pointers. Number one, I know this came up, do not greet the backs of senior leaders. So, for example, if Cadet Taylor here, who has a nice video camera here, if he was walking past me and my back is turned to him, I'm doing something else, if I can't see you behind me, do not greet me. If I don't know where you are, I'm just going to hear, good morning, sir, and I don't know if you're talking to me. I'm not making eye contact with you, okay? So if their back is turned to you, you don't need to greet. Only if they're facing you and they can acknowledge that you're there and they see you. Number two, if you are walking behind, say after PT, if you're walking behind Captain Spots, if you are approaching him from behind and he's walking in front of you, you will not just say, good morning, sir, again, because his back is to you. When you pass him, this is going to be one of those differences again. You generally will not salute if you're in uniform if you are passing from the rear. But again, understand that different officers will expect different things. If they turn and look at you, you probably want to give them the greeting of the day. But just again, understand that different leaders will have different opinions on this. But in general, from the rear, if you are passing, you will not salute or give the greeting of the day. Because again, their back is to you. Number three, if senior leaders are in a conversation, you will not interrupt that conversation. If you can tell that they're engaged and they're having a serious talk about something, just like, good morning, gentlemen, and expect them to, they're in the middle of a conversation. You wouldn't want someone interrupting you either. Don't make them turn and greet. The difference is, though, at PT, you may see when cadre is watching, they're watching what's happening, they're standing next to each other, but they're still facing outwards. They may be having a light conversation about something casual, nothing serious. In that case, they're still facing outwards. If you pass them, give them a greeting. Morning, ma'am. Morning, sir. Make sense? Yes, sir.
A big reason for all of the three things that Kevin Macalina is talking about is because when you are greeting, it's respect both ways. And so if you, for example, salute someone from behind, that doesn't give them the opportunity to salute you back and to give you that respect back of acknowledging your salute and rendering the proper customs and courtesies back to you. And so you have to try to keep that in mind. It's not because we're trying to confuse you or make it difficult, it's because customs and courtesies, their respect goes both ways. And so if you put that senior officer in the position where he or she can't render it back properly, then they're not respecting you back, and we don't want to be in that position, or you're not going to want to be in that position someday either. Does that make sense? Okay.
The large thing, if you get anything out of this customs and courtesies brief, there are standards, basic ideas of what you're supposed to do, but in the end, it comes down to your judgment. You are going to find the weirdest situations that you're going to go, what do I do? And trust me, it happens a lot. And you're going to go, well, they're kind of far away. They're a little around the corner, but they're still making eye contact with me, but they're still 6 paces. You're going to come up with these really elaborate, crazy situations. The big thing is just think to yourself, what makes sense? Use good judgment. What would that person want you to do in that situation? And again, worst comes to worst, you should greet. Worst case scenario, just greet or salute. Okay, this is a big one. Could I have some of our POC come down? Get a Bernays, get a Newman, get a Carter shirt, come on down. You look excited there. Okay, so this is kind of an issue we've been having with greeting groups. If you were to pass, all of us in a group, we're all talking, but it's a light conversation, how would you greet this group? Anybody?
Sir, Cadet Jennings, Alpha Flight, you would say, good morning, gentlemen, then good morning, ladies,
Why?
because you were the superior officer.
Okay, so if I wasn't in this group, how would you greet this group?
Sir, Cadet Lisa, Charlie Flight. We greet them, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Why?
Because the new is the
Yes, correct. So the key thing is, I know, especially in the civilian world, it's common to greet ladies first. It's always ladies and gentlemen. I think that's maybe where the confusion comes from. However, in the military, rank plays an important role. So the first thing you should look at when approaching a group is, who is the highest ranking individual in the group? Whoever that is, in this case Cadet Newen, if it's the 4 of them, and you say, okay, there's women and there's men in this group. So you have to say, okay, I need to decide which group I'm greeting first. And that's going to be whichever gender has the highest rank. So that's why ladies and gentlemen. Can I bring this come over here? So if this were the case, just the 3 of them, what would you say? What would you do?
Sir, Peddler, Charlie Flight. Morning, ma'am.
Correct. Does that make sense? Any other questions about greeting groups? Rank comes first. However, what if you passed Captain Spots and Captain Schilling, the 2 of them? How would you do it?
Sir, Cadet Jennings, Alpha Flight, you would greet Captain Schilling first,
Why?
because she is the lady.
Okay. Anything else?
And they're
They're the
That's an
same.
equal rank.
They are the same rank. That's. Now what? How do you?
Cadet Diaz.
Cadet Dave, Alpha Flight. You agree? Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Or good morning, excuse me. Correction, please. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, gentlemen.
Okay, good.
You don't have to greet us by name either. So we've seen that issue a couple of times. You can if you'd like to. You can greet, if we're all 3 together, you can go, good morning, Captain Schilling, good morning, Captain Spots, good morning, Cadet Macalena, if you really want to.
Good luck.
But if there's, but usually what that ends up happening is you all go, good morning, and that's really what it sounds like to us. And then we just go, and then we go, hey, Cadet Macalena, guess what? The cadet had this issue with greeting it. See, we're ladies and gentlemen too, okay? So if I'm with Cadet Nguyen and Cadet Bernays, you can go, good morning, ladies. You don't have to single us out. We appreciate, if you want to, you can. If you can't get that out as you're walking by when you're going to something, that's okay too. Does everyone understand that?
Yes,
Okay, all right. It's still appropriate if you're just recognizing us as ma'am and son.
And just remember, so equivalent rank. So like I said, if Captain Schilling and Captain Spots are next to each other, they're the same rank. So now rank is equal. Now you revert to ladies first. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions concerning greeting? I know there's probably, like I said, you're going to run into some weird situations, I promise you, but just always use your best judgment.
Can you make sure to mention your flights when you're in your flight?
about. Okay, if you are in a formation, so if you are fallen in and you have a flight commander with you, if you are in the formation, you do not salute, nor do you greet. So if Captain Spots comes walking by your flight and you are in formation, even if he comes right next to you, you do not greet him, because you have your flight commander. Your flight commander is responsible for your formation. The flight commander is the one that will be doing all the greeting and all the rendering of salutes. Does that make sense? In formation, nothing else matters outside in terms of greeting and saluting. Your flight commander takes care of that.
That was on your original, hope you guys all got it right.
Okay, so like I said, this goes back to what we talked about earlier. Do I have to greet every time I pass? If you're on the deck, I know you have the flight path, so you can end up passing one of us 5 times in a matter of 2 minutes. Yes, I'm going to tell you yes, because like I told you before, you just have to gauge how people react. If you come by me, if I'm on the flight path somewhere and you walk by me personally, say it once. If you say it to me once and you come back around 30 seconds later, don't say it again. For me, you don't need to, because I understand, okay? But,
I have a question, Captain Macalena.
yes ma'am.
Okay, so I walked by and I greeted you this morning, and then we came to Lead Lab, and then we went back to the detachment, and then I walked by you. What do I do?
Yes ma'am, about to get to that.
Okay.
That was so, it's all about judgment. If you pass me a minute later in the same setting, don't need to greet me. However, yes, if you leave the area, or now we're switching locations, like Captain Schilling's saying, we come to Lead Lab, that doesn't mean since you greeted me on the deck here at Lead Lab, you shouldn't greet me. Does that make sense? You should be greeting me. Like I said, I know this is a confusing mess. It's always difficult to say. There's a million situations. Just trying to give you a good blanket statement. Judgment, 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 judgment. Okay? Are there any questions about specific scenarios? Or maybe something you've encountered since you've been here that you're like, I don't know what I was supposed to do there. Oh, good. Here we go.
That path, probably. I was wondering if you see someone on campus or in a public setting, like I ran into Cadet Perry down on Waikiki, and normally we're supposed to greet each other. I mean, I know for active duty officers, normally you don't go and say Captain Spots, hello in public. Normally you don't attach a rank to someone's name just for like safety purposes if you're anywhere.
You should still be giving a greeting. If you're talking specifically rank, I wouldn't say that you'd have to. There's not necessary to say, good evening, Captain Spots. It'd just be, but still, just show the respect. Especially if you come across cadre in public, it should still be, good evening, sir. Just let them know you're acknowledging. It's all about respect. Does that answer your question? So you still will, you do not have to dress by rank, though. I understand what you're saying there. Does that answer your question? Who else had a, go ahead.
Sir, can I have a flight about your 30-second greeting rule? If 30 seconds I come back and you're still in the same setting, but there another POC comes, do I greet you again?
If you haven't greeted that POC yet, they still need their greeting. So even if that involves now we're in a group, it would seem weird. So say Cadet Taylor now, say it was just me, and then Cadet Taylor shows up next to me. Wouldn't it be kind of weird if you just greeted him? It just, perception-wise, would look strange. So yes, you would still say, good morning, gentlemen. You see what I'm saying?
Because the other POC is going to get mad at you.
Because now this POC, he should be freaking out on you saying, you didn't greet? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? I said it's all about judgment. If in doubt, greet. Any other questions?
Sir, Cadet Dolan, POC. What if you're marching the flight and there's a POC on the opposite side of the flight that you can only kind of see through the ranks?
It's a good question. Everybody's to play the Stump the Wing Commander game. No, that's a good point. If they're on the other side of your flight, unless Cadre thinks otherwise, I would say no. That is not a situation to greet because it doesn't make sense. You have a bunch of cadets between you and that person. It would be awkward and strange for you to try to yell across your own cadets.
real quick though, if you are being affected as a flight commander, you should be scanning, okay? And you should be seeing it. If you do greet them, hey, kudos to you that you saw them, that you found them, all right? But if I were a POC or a cadre member walking on that side, I'm trying to be stealth anyway. I'm just trying to get around you guys probably. I'm not there to stump you, all right? If I'm there to stump you, shame on me. But if I'm walking around and you guys happen to catch me and greet me, I'm like, oh, hello, good morning, that's awesome, good job. All right, but yes, you don't need to go out of your way to salute them or greet them. But if you're scanning them properly anyway, you're using your peripheral vision. You can see someone out of formation walking quickly. You know, do a quick scan and you can greet them.
Do you ever have? Are there any other scenarios? Go ahead.
Sir, could I fun second Charlie flight? If we halted outside of the lead lab and then all the POCs were lined up right outside, do we bang out multiple salutes or hold it and then tell?
You can hold it. If there's a whole line of them, hold the salute, and they should be returning all the way down the line. I know what you're talking about. I saw what you did. You don't have to stop in front of each one. You can hold the salute. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Go through it. Any other questions? Who wants to stump me still? POC? Nobody? Okay. Last thing I want to talk about, just real quick. When you do greet, sound off. We don't want to hear, I will not respond to you if you come by and say, morning, sir. Morning, sir. Okay? Sound off. If you want me to respond, I got to hear it. Okay? So if you're going to greet, even because you're probably not sure, you're like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this, just be confident. Because I'd rather hear you be confident and we correct you rather than you sound unconfident and still have to correct you anyway. Okay? So sound off. We will be correcting for that. Any other questions? So we went over some of the topics: email, physical training, POC involvement, customs and courtesies, and then we went into specific scenarios about when to greet, when not to greet. This concludes my briefing. Are there any questions about anything? Emails? No? Good? Thank you.